make a cheat ramen. Let's say this straight away, this isn't a traditional ramen. Let's just say it multiple times, it is not a traditional ramen, so let's not offend anyone. But it is closely related. It's a cousin. A third cousin. It still tastes like ramen. It's better than ordering Uber Eats or Deliveroo or whatever they call, because it's cheaper, it's better, you'll have a lot more of it, and you're not spending on delivery fees because you've already got it here. So you're going to need all of these items for this recipe. If you want my recipe, it is down below in my description. You're going to need 3 liters of stock, bok choy, pork belly, ramen noodles, soy sauce, sesame seed, nori, sesame seeds, some ginger just for later on, some spring onion, fresh garlic, fresh ginger. Now I'm going to give you a forewarning and don't do exactly what I did. I went to go order 250 grams of ramen noodles, also what I thought. Instead I bought 2 kilos of ramen noodles. I don't need this many. I had this many. It was cheap, but I had this many and I don't need this. I'll definitely use these over time, unless someone wants these. But just check what you're ordering and don't accidentally order 2 kilos. So my recipe starts off by cooking these puppies. We're going to chuck them on the boil for about 7 to 8 minutes to get a soft yolk. You can cook it more depending on how you like the yolk. Don't chuck it in while the water's hot, because if you do that, they'll crack. So we're going to chuck them on now. Because I don't have my phone to actually set a timer, I'll set my microwave to 7 minutes. Blah-blah. So the eggs are well and truly done. We'll take these off, run them. As I said, they're done. Microwave till solvers. We're going to take this off the heat, run cold water on it for a while until they're cold, and then leave them for a little bit before we start peeling them. And then we'll go for the next stage. Until then, it's garlic, ginger, a whole thing of bok choy, torn up nori because it gives it an umami flavor, 1/4 cup of tallow or lard, depending on what you can get a hand on and what's cheapest for you. This will add more of a meaty flavor just because of the fact that it's a lot harder to make this broth like a tonkatsu with a bit of fattiness because of the fact that there's no fat in the stock that we have. Now I have a bag of frozen spring onions and some pork fat that's been cut off previously. This is stuff that you can generally make with a stock. It's just easier to chuck in here, adds more flavor. We're not keeping anything in this, so it's fine to have a bit of like skin, whatever. I go about a teaspoon of sesame oil. It's more of an aromatic, but it does help make some more depth into this broth. You're gonna need about 3 teaspoons of sesame seeds. I like the more roasted ones. They have more of a deeper flavor. Now we're gonna stir it around. Of course, you should always stir it around and chuck a lid on it. If the liquid dissolves too much, you can always add a bit of like water. Just don't try and add too much water. If you have more stock, you can always add more stock, but just watch out for the saltiness. Taste it after an hour. Now I'm just going to stand here and painstakingly peel all these eggs. I'm just having a little bit of trouble with these eggs because they are pasteurized, and I find that most pasteurized eggs don't peel as well as free ranged. So there are going to be some potatoes. Okay, so the broth has been boiling hard for 15 minutes now. You're going to want to turn it down just because it will evaporate really quickly if you don't. You can leave it on for about an hour and you'll end up with a good broth, but you can also leave it on for longer than that. It's up to you. I prefer to leave it on 2 hours, adding a little more extra stock every once in a while. It's just how quick you really want this one. It is, as I said, a cheats ramen broth. you have your own time schedule. Chuck about 250 grams of this 1 kilo massive thing of ramen noodles. Just chuck some water on the boil and chuck some in, take it out before it gets too, just follow the packet most of the time. I feel like the packet's more responsible than I am. Okay, so while we're waiting for the broth, we're gonna have to start prepping the other items that will go on top. We've already got the eggs ready, but we're gonna have to cut up the carrot, because I like carrot. I don't know if people usually put a thing in it, but I like a little bit of carrot. Some spring onion, and get the bok choy ready to cook when it's ready. So with the bok choy, all you need to do is tear off the leaves and then clean them. When you're ready to eat, these will be cooked. You don't really need these bits. These will be cooked in the broth and slowly moved around in it. Now with the carrot, you cut off both ends, cut down the middle. Now this depends how much you want. Because I probably only want half of this carrot, so this amount size, for who I'm cooking for. I'm keeping the skin on. Skin on's got more nutrition. I need better knives, but that's a later problem. You can cut them smaller than that and julienne them a bit better than that. Go for your life. This knife is flimsy. It's the only one I've got right now. Hey, if anyone wants to sponsor me and give me a nice set of knives. Good enough. And then we're going to cut these. So you don't really want as much of the white as possible, so you're going to go like, whoop, bugger off. And these are going to be like small things. Now, unfortunately, while cooking the pork, the video has in fact corrupted. So now I feel like I am a piece of garbage because I don't have that. But I slow cooked it so that it eventually ended up being crispy on all sides and made sure I twisted around. Easy. Now for the broth, I have, because it was all on the same video, emptied it out, poured it out into a nice bowl with a sieve so I can clean out all the chunks. Hopefully it gets all the smaller parts. If it doesn't, you can get a finer sieve. It's up to you. So with plating, it depends how you want to go. I usually go noodles, everything else, broth, and then some nori and some sushi ginger on top of that with a little bit of sesame seeds. It's really up to you. Like, deal of choice. If you want this recipe, it will be down in my description down below. I have all the other kind of recipes on there too. It's not that many at the moment, but there'll be so much more coming up. I'll probably have a second or third of this one. The broth is darker than a normal ramen broth, but has a lot more flavors.